Namaste and welcome. It is Rishi here from meditatewithrishi.com, and today is officially the first video after the previous video I did on the new channel direction. Okay, so if you haven't watched that, you might want to check that out. In that video I share with you my full story, the 5 years I've spent in India, learning meditation, training as a teacher, exploring different parts and finding the clarity for myself, especially after meeting His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Okay, so it's a great video if you're interested in that story, but ultimately, what I want to start today's video with is sharing that the first part of my journey after I started practicing meditation was, it was very much about me quitting my unhealthy habits. This is why I started practicing in the first place. So quitting alcohol, drugs, excessive partying, all of that, right? It was very much about doing that. And this was my main focus initially, right? So I did a lot of what I knew back then, which was practicing, simple, basic meditation, with the breath, reciting mantras, essentially, to focus the mind and gain some control over the mind so that I'm not at the mercy of it. I'm not doing what it's telling me to do, but instead I have some control, some level of control over doing what I want to do, right? So if I say that I don't want to drink or I don't want to do those unhealthy things, I have that control and power in me to stop that. Okay, so this was the initial part of it, and eventually, as I mentioned, I did quit all those things. So it's been over 5 years now where I've quit those bad habits and gone kind of all into the meditation path and exploring spirituality and discovering my path, right? So what I realized is that those habits that I had, they were a result of something, right? So they were mainly escapes from the negative emotions and pain that I had in me. So early on in life, I went through a few things. For example, losing both my parents early, at 21 years old. Okay, before that, I grew up in quite a difficult childhood for a lot of it, because I saw a lot of fights at home, a lot of violence, and this made me grow up as quite a scared person, right? I had a lot of fear in me. I also had a lot of resentment for the people who made that a reality in my life, right? So the reason I'm saying this is that all the habits that I developed were simply means of escaping the emotions I was feeling, right? I didn't want to sit with myself and feel what I was feeling, which is why I resorted to partying and drinking and all these things. But once I was able to quit all of that through meditation, I realized that this is great. Now I have, I'm in control of what I want to do, but it's only half the battle, because I realized that I still have those negative emotions, call it trauma, call it whatever you want, in me. And until I can free myself of that, I'm not really happy. I'm not really free, essentially, right? I'm still living with the stress and tightness and blocks, essentially. Okay, so this is it. The biggest realization is that I had, and this is what led me to start exploring the Buddha's teachings in more detail, is that until we are completely free inside, until we don't have resentment or fear or anger toward someone or things or events that have happened to us, until we hold all this, right, we are never going to be completely happy. We're never going to be completely free, because that true freedom comes from washing all of this away, from healing, from cleansing all of this clutter that we hold in our hearts and in our minds, essentially. Okay, so this is when I started studying and practicing the Buddha's teachings on love and compassion. the teachings on love and compassion are essentially for this, for healing and for cleansing all of the tightness and blocks and negativity that we hold towards ourselves, towards things that have happened in our life, and especially, toward other people in our life. Okay, so this is it essentially. Okay, so what the Buddha says, and what many spiritual traditions say, is that the core of our being, our original nature, which is not tainted by all of this conditioning and negativity and monkey mind and so on, right? Our natural self essentially is, it has these qualities, right? Awareness, love and compassion, wisdom, creativity, contentment, joy. It is complete. It's basically happiness on its own, without needing anything. It is fully whole, fully complete. There is nothing that you can add to it, right? So when we speak about becoming, happy or attaining happiness, it's not really adding something onto ourselves. It's uncovering what is already there. The analogy given by the Buddha is that we are, our true nature is like a diamond that has been covered by mud. Okay, a diamond covered by mud. So the mud does not affect the diamond in any way, right? If we can just clean that mud off, that shiny diamond is and always has been there. Okay, so this is the reason why we practice, right? And why we practice meditation, which, as I'm going to speak about now, is not just about resting the mind, but also about opening our heart, right? Resting the mind gives us, like it gave me, the power to have a sense of control over our mind. So we're not, we're not slaves of the monkey mind, essentially, right? We're not being swayed by it. We have the agency, the control to say that, okay, it's my mind. I don't need to take these thoughts that are coming up seriously. I can generate my own thoughts and do what I want to do, essentially. You gain this level of self-control, right? And with that comes peace, with that comes clarity. But that only takes us so far. That is the stepping stone, essentially, or it is half the job done. The other half of that is opening the heart, connecting to the other qualities that we have. So initially we've connected to awareness, but it's connecting to the other qualities that are part of our original nature, our natural self, which are love and compassion. Love and compassion, okay? So that's it for the intro. The main part of this video, what I wanted to speak about today, is to share a story with you, okay? I think this is a great story to begin this series of videos with, because this is the reason why I've decided to go in this direction. Okay, so it's about how I healed and transformed the most painful relationship I had in my life. Okay, so in very simple terms, right? I told you that growing up, my parents were divorced. I grew up seeing a lot of fights, essentially, in the family, right? And there was a lot of elements to it. I don't want to get into too much detail here, simply because I want to protect everybody's privacy. At the same time, what I'll share with you is there was one person, after my parents passed away, who I saw, I wrongly saw as the source of pain in my life, right? They were a person who brought me a lot of pain, a lot of misery, a lot of aversion, blocks, tightness. I just wanted nothing to do with this person, but I had no choice because their presence in my life meant that there was no escape, essentially. There was no escape, right? So when I was in the UK, a lot of the time, even though I was free, I lived in this fear that this person is going to reach out to me and ask me for help or ask me for something or just treat me unfairly in some way and create pain in me, create pain in my heart. So I always lived with this sense of aversion, of fear of that happening. And whenever I did interact with them, it wasn't positive at all. I felt like they were really selfish. I felt like they were treating me unfairly, and I felt like they were just out to get me, essentially. Okay, so this view, as you know, right? If you have someone in your life, right, I want you to think of them as we go through this video, because we all have, or most of us have, someone like this. And the truth is that our suffering comes less from that person and more from the story we have in our heart about them. Okay, our suffering comes less from that person, but more from the story we have in our heart, how we view them, how we perceive them. This is where our suffering comes from. Okay, so what you need to know is, for about 20 years of my life, this person was the biggest source of pain. Okay, and after I quit my bad habits and I started deciding that I want to work on the negative emotions I'm feeling, this is when I started learning and practicing the Buddha's teachings on love and compassion. Okay, so I want to share with you how practicing love and compassion actually helped me to transform how I view this person and actually the relationship itself. Okay, so let's speak about what love and compassion is and what meditating on them is. Okay, so in very simple terms, what we're doing is this. In the Buddhist teachings, right, love means the wish to be happy, and compassion means the wish not to suffer. Okay, so this is our basic wish as human beings and as sentient beings, right? Any form of life that they have one basic wish. They want to be happy, right? And they don't want to suffer. Okay, so what we do in compassion meditation is first, the first step is practicing self-compassion. Okay, which is recognizing this wish in ourself. It sounds simple, okay, but when you do it, it really opens up a whole new dimension of how we relate to ourselves and understand ourselves, and hence later understand other people. Okay, so here we're talking theory, but the practice is where the real transformation will happen. So with compassion, what we're doing is we're trying to recognize how we have this wish that we don't want to suffer. We want to be happy and we don't want to suffer. So I'll give you a few examples. Everything that we do in our life is a result of this wish, right? So for example, we all want to eat nice food. We don't want to eat food that we don't like. We want to eat nice food means we want to be happy, and and we don't want to eat food we don't like means we don't want to suffer, right? So our food choice is expressing that wish. We want to be happy, we don't want to suffer. In the same way, choosing a job. We want to do a job we like, where we like our boss, we like our team, we like the work we're doing. We don't want to do a job where we feel not nice, right? Again, we want to be happy, we don't want to suffer. Those are big things. Even smaller things in life, like when we go to sleep. What position do we sleep in? Or we keep changing our position, right? Why? Because we're uncomfortable. We don't want to suffer, so we change. We want to be happy. You see what I mean? The smallest thing, this example, I really like it. Just blinking. Blinking. Every blink of our eye is expressing this wish. I want to be happy. I don't want to suffer. Right? So we recognize that in ourselves, and then we can recognize that actually all of our actions are expressions of this wish. So for example, when I was doing all of the drinking and drugs and partying, what was it? The same thing. I want to be happy. I don't want to suffer. Right? It was just that. But it was expressing this wish through ignorance, because I didn't know at the time that actually doing all that partying was giving me more suffering. Right? Not in any deep philosophical sense. In a practical sense, you feel hungover after you party. I used to, finish all of my money because I used to go to extremes, right? So that was causing suffering. But because I was too scared to be with my emotions, I chose to do it anyway, right? So at that time I was choosing to be happy and not suffer in the best way that I knew how, out of ignorance. But after exploring and learning the Buddha's teachings on love and compassion, I decided I want to explore a way to be happy, not through ignorance, but through wisdom, in a wise way, right? By doing things that would actually make me happier in the long run, like practicing love and compassion meditation. No joke. That is the biggest source of happiness, because it changes our view of reality, how we view ourselves, how we view things that happen to us, and how we view other people in our life. Okay, so coming back to the meditation on love and compassion, right? So the first step is we do it with ourselves. Okay, and we recognize that, wow, I do all these things only because I want to be happy and I don't want to suffer, right? And once we realize this, that we even do stupid things, silly things, because we want to be happy and not suffer, then we can empathize with other people that they also do it, silly things, because they want to be happy and not suffer. So the next step, right, is to think of someone who you really love, okay? You really love. And you now think of them and you explore how they want to be happy and they don't want to suffer, and how they do things that expresses this wish. So think of someone that you love right now, right? Could be anyone, a family member, a friend, someone you really love, you have good feelings for when you think of them. And try to think of one or two things that they do because they want happiness. Try to think of a couple of things they do because they don't want to suffer. Okay, so we reflect in this way. We see that the things that they do are because they want happiness and they don't want to suffer. And we acknowledge that they have the same wish that we do, to be happy and to not suffer. So we wish them this happiness, that may you be happy in life. May you feel free and warm in your heart. May you feel safe. May you feel happy in your relationships. Whatever the method, the means of happiness you wanna express for them. May you not suffer. May you not be sick. May you not struggle in your relationships. May you not struggle for money. Right? And we wish for them in this way. Okay, so first we recognize with ourselves and we wish ourselves, right, that may I be happy, may I be free of all suffering, right? And then we do it with a loved one. Okay, so these are the steps, right? Starting with yourself, then a loved one, and then think of a neutral person, and then eventually, right, as you become stronger, as your mind becomes clearer, then you bring in a difficult person. Okay, so this is where I brought in the difficult person in my life, okay? And I began to essentially explore how they are just like me. They want to be happy. They don't want to suffer, okay? That's their primary wish, basic wish. And I began to see how some of the things they do, which I don't agree with, actually are expressions of them trying to be happy, are expressions of them trying not to suffer. Okay, and then I went a bit deeper, and I explored how, just this is now we need a clear mind to do this, right? So I'm not saying that in one meditation you're going to be able to conquer your difficult person. Of course not. Of course not. This is a daily practice, and every day you chip away a little bit. You chip away a little bit, and you become stronger, and you become clearer, and your heart opens, so you can see more and more deeper into how things really are. So the more I did this, right, the more I was able to see, see with an unbiased view. Okay, so take myself out of the equation completely and just view this person as a human being. And I went through their life. Okay, I went through their life and I explored how the things that they have been through from their perspective, taking a walk in their shoes and seeing that, wow, they've actually gone through a lot of suffering. Right, all this time I was just me. I've suffered. They've caused a lot of pain for me, but now I was able to look at the suffering they've been through, and much more disappointing things than me, like having this huge expectation in their life, and when it came, it was a completely different reality. They had to adjust to that, and that probably wasn't easy for them, right? And many more things I explored, and I found that, wow, this person has suffered a lot, They suffered a lot. And then I try to see the things that they were doing which were offending me. And I realized that maybe if I was in their position, I would be doing the same things, right? I reflected on how, when I was feeling negative, I resorted to all the partying and drinking and all these things. This person didn't even have those kind of escapes. So they needed a way to remove all that, and that's where all that anger and treating me unfairly was coming from. Okay, so this is a thing. Now, when we can look at it like this, we're seeing a different person altogether. We're not seeing a person who has harmed us and had this personal vendetta against us. No, we're seeing a person who, just like us, has gone through suffering and acted in the way that they know best to give themselves the most happiness and peace. Okay, so this is what practicing love and compassion does, right? It transforms how we view somebody else. And when this started happening, my feelings for this person became less and less negative, and actually I felt compassion for them. I felt empathy for them, and I realized that a lot of this problems that we have, maybe just because I've taken the wrong view all this time. Maybe, right? I'm not saying they've taken the right view, but they don't have the blessings that I've had to learn these Buddhist teachings and do the practice and transform my mind. So if I've had the blessings of being able to do this, then it's my responsibility to do something about it, right? So I decided that I'm gonna try to change this relationship. I don't want it to be a source of pain for me anymore. Okay, I want it to be at the very least something neutral, something that doesn't bring me pain, and at the very best something that brings me happiness and joy. Who knows, what can happen, right? So what I did was I decided that from now, whenever I speak to this person, I'm going to just have one intention, and that intention is this: I'm going to express to them that I want our relationship to work, okay? And I genuinely care about them. And I want the past to be the past. I want the whole past to be the past, and I want our relationship to work. So every time I spoke with this person, I expressed to them that, look, we've been through a lot, okay? Our family is really small now. Most people have passed away. And I think that we deserve to be happy. And I think we can be happy. And I want you to know that I care about you, okay? I care about you. Whatever I can do, I will do, right? What I can't do, I won't do. I'll be honest with you. But what I can do, I will do. And I want to essentially make this work. And I want you to know that I do care about you, okay? So every time we spoke, right, I would try to, I'm not saying that every time was, golden and amazing. But, we would have arguments, of course, all of this. But the intention, before I had a call with them, I would have this intention, I would cultivate my intention that I want to make this change. I want to transform this, and I'm gonna be loving to them. And I kept expressing this to them. And I saw over time that this person, when they could see in my eyes that I was really meaning what I was saying, that I genuinely cared for them and I genuinely wanted this to work, I could see them, meaning their face, I could see their face begin to soften. I could see their face begin to open up and become more receptive. Even if their words were not being receptive, I could see the features changing. Okay? And I could see this person is becoming more receptive, and over here becoming softer. There is an opening that is happening slowly but surely. Okay, and I'm not making this up, but within one year and a bit, right? Obviously, I know it's still a long time, but within 1 year and a bit, the relationship changed completely. So much so that now my conversations with this person are they're joyful. They they're joyful. There's no more the selfish me, I want this and they want that. And, both of us are actually wanting to support each other for the good of everyone in the family. Because we know that if us two can make it work, then everyone else is going to feel peaceful and feel happy and really benefit from that. So this is incredible, right? And I'm not saying that it's always going to stay like this. That person might decide to fight with me tomorrow, right? But the change I'm talking about is a change within ourselves, right? So don't take this to be that, we can transform any relationship and it's all going to be happily ever after. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is how you feel, how we feel inside about that person will change through love and compassion meditation. And that's all we need. Do you know why? Because our suffering comes from how we view the person. Our suffering comes from how we feel about the person. If we cultivate this view, like, genuinely, that this person has just gone through a lot of suffering, and this is why they act how they act. It's not a personal thing against me. And if we can see this, and we can see that we've had the chance to do these practices and open our heart and feel this love, and they haven't, you just feel more compassion for them. And you feel more compassion for them. So the fear, right? For me, the biggest change was the fear disappeared, right? No more fear. No more this like averse feeling or less of it, right? Less averse feeling. There's still work to do. Of course, there's still work that I can do and will do. But it changed so much that, in the practice I described to you, where you meditate on yourself, then a loved one, then a neutral person, then a difficult person, actually, this person is no longer my difficult person, Now when I come to the difficult person category in my meditation, I have to think of someone else, someone who a bit less irritating, right? So can you see that? Like, my whole practice has transformed because of changing this one relationship. And that's just how powerful it is. Okay, so the point of me telling you all this is that the practices of love and compassion, they can help us to really open our heart and get rid of fear, get rid of anger, get rid of anxiety and tightness and blocks that we feel toward other people, or events or things that have happened to us, and see them in a whole new light, see them in a whole new from a whole new perspective, essentially. And that means that the pain that we felt, the tightness that we felt, it goes, it disappears. And life just becomes much more easier, free. You feel open, you feel spacious, you don't feel scared. Easy, like you feel easy. There's a sense of ease that comes in. So that's incredible, right? So if that is something that you want, which I mean, who doesn't, right? Then this is the stuff that I'm going to be speaking about primarily on this channel, okay? I'm going to be doing a lot of videos exploring, different perspectives, different teachings, meditations, all of this stuff. And I'm putting everything there on YouTube. So stay tuned, okay? Stay tuned and keep watching. If you resonate with this and you want to open your heart and you want to work on some issues yourself, okay? So that's it essentially for today. I will see you next week. If you have any thoughts, comments, or even questions that you want me to touch upon in these videos, then please feel free to comment, and I will keep that in mind, okay? So that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Namaste.